Let me tell you a secret the chemical companies have spent decades hoping you would never figure out. Right now, at this very moment, there are vibrant and living plants sitting in your local garden center. Plants they are already selling you for entirely different reasons, yet they contain the exact same active compounds. Those same corporations isolate and pump into their $12 bottles of mosquito spray. The exact same compounds, the exact same chemical families, extracted from the exact same botanical sources. And they are growing in your rich soil, blooming in your containers, and spreading across your living garden beds for the cost of a single six-pack of transplants. I have been digging my hands into the earth for over 25 years. I have spent time in the blazing Texas heat, the humid coastal zones of the southeast, the high desert gardens of the southwest, and the short-season gardens of the upper Midwest. And one of the things that took me an embarrassingly long time to fully appreciate is this single and beautiful truth. Mother Nature has already solved the mosquito problem. She solved it millions of years before DEET ever existed. She solved it before synthetic vaporizers. She solved it long before those plug-in torches you burn through every single July. These plants are not gimmicks. They are not old wives' tales. There is peer-reviewed science behind every single one of them. And by the time we are done today, you are going to have a planting list that does something your toxic spray bottle absolutely cannot do. It works 24 hours a day. It gets stronger and more resilient every season, and you never have to refill it. Now I want you to pay close attention when we get to the fourth plant on this list, because that plant specifically contains a compound that commercial pesticide manufacturers literally extracted, synthesized, and packaged under a trademark name to sell back to you at a massive markup. And I want you to know exactly where the original magic came from. Before we dive into the dirt, drop your US state or your USDA hardiness zone in the comments right now. Do it immediately. I am building a real community map of where this audience is gardening across America, and that geographical data helps me give you more specific and more useful ecological advice every single week. Drop it right now and let us begin. Number 1 is marigolds. Let me start with the one that almost every experienced gardener has used without fully understanding why it works. And that gap in understanding is exactly where the chemical industry has been making money off you for years. Marigolds contain two separate classes of naturally occurring compounds that work together as a layered defense system against mosquitoes. The first is pyrethrum, which belongs to a class of insecticides called pyrethrins. If you have ever bought a commercial flying insect killer, you have bought pyrethrin. If you have ever purchased a pest strip or a pet flea shampoo, you have very likely bought a synthetic version of this exact compound called permethrin. The chemical industry did not invent it. They extracted it from the chrysanthemum family, a family that marigolds belong to, purified it, synthesized analogs, and patented the delivery method. That is their entire business model. They take a beautiful natural compound, strip it from its living plant source, and sell it in an aerosol can with a shiny logo on it. The second compound in marigolds is Thiophenes. These are pungent organic molecules released from marigold root systems and from the crushed tissue of the flowers and leaves. Thiophenes naturally repel soil-dwelling parasites. But at the leaf level, they also contribute to that sharp and distinctive scent that confuses and deters mosquitoes. A massive study published by the Cornell Cooperative Extension discovered that the two compounds together, pyrethrum disrupting the insect nervous system and Thiophenes overwhelming their sense of smell, create a biochemical environment that mosquitoes actively avoid. Now let me give you the practical information, because theory is only worth something when you can act on it. The plants you want for maximum repellent power are the French marigolds. Do not skip straight to the giant African marigold varieties for this purpose. Those are beautiful, but the French marigolds have higher concentrations of those specific oils in their leaves. Plant them in thick borders surrounding your primary outdoor living areas, along patio edges, near deck railings, and the perimeter of your seating zones. They thrive in USDA zones 2 through 11 as annuals, which means there is not a single US state where you cannot grow them. They want full sun and lean soil that drains very well. Do not over-fertilize them. Excess nitrogen pushes leafy growth at the expense of flower production, and the flowers are exactly where you want that pyrethrum concentrated. A 10-foot border of densely planted French marigolds will cost you under $12 in transplants. A bottle of chemical mosquito spray from a home improvement store will run you between $9 and $15 and last you perhaps 2 or 3 applications. You do the math on that slowly. One is a one-time expenditure that reblooms all season, breathing life into your soil web. The other is a recurring purchase on a product the company reformulated from something Mother Earth provided for free. Number 2 is lavender. Nobody has told you about lavender the way I am going to tell you about it right now, and I think that has cost a lot of you real money and real frustration over the years. When most gardeners think of lavender as a mosquito repellent, they think of it in a passive and vague way. They have heard that it smells nice and bugs do not like it. That is not a useful description. Let me give you the actual science so you understand what you are working with. Lavender produces linalool as its primary natural oil. This is a tiny molecule that vaporizes at normal temperatures and floats easily in the air around the plant. Mosquitoes locate their hosts through a combination of carbon dioxide, body heat, and specific chemical attractants in human sweat. According to extensive data from the USDA on botanical repellents, linalool does not just smell bad to mosquitoes, it actively disrupts their ability to detect those human attractant chemicals. It interferes with their smelling receptors. They simply cannot smell you as clearly when there is a fragrant cloud of linalool between you and them. Here is the practical trick that almost nobody tells you. Crush a few lavender flower heads or even just the leaves between your fingers and rub the pure plant oil directly onto your wrists, the back of your neck, and your ankles. Those are the 3 primary landing zones for mosquitoes when you are sitting outdoors. You are essentially making a free and plant-derived bug repellent from something already thriving in your garden. No DEET, no aerosols, no label warning telling you to wash it off before handling food. For USDA zones 5 through 9, you have the broadest range of lavender options. Hidcote and Munstead are the 2 types I recommend most consistently for American home gardens because they survive the cold and have very strong oil concentration. Just remember that lavender intensifies its oil production under mild stress. Do not water it constantly. Water it deeply and then let the soil dry out significantly before watering again. Number 3 is scented geraniums. This is where I want you to pay extremely close attention because the marketing around citronella products in this country has created one of the most expensive and persistent misconceptions in the home garden market. You have seen the product at every nursery from April through August. The plant sold as a mosquito plant with a picture of a mosquito with a big red cross over it. It usually retails around $10 a pot, and it is just a scented geranium. The marketing strongly implies that the plant itself emits a mosquito repelling force field simply by sitting in your yard. That is not how it works, and the companies selling it absolutely know that is not how it works. Here is the real biological mechanism, and it is genuinely useful once you understand it correctly. Scented geraniums produce citronellol and geraniol. These are 2 natural oils stored in microscopic glands located on the surface of their leaves and stems. As recommended by the UC Agriculture and Natural Resources Extension, these compounds are released into the air when the plant is touched, brushed, or physically disturbed, not passively from a distance. The defense mechanism of the plant is entirely physical. It releases its chemistry in response to contact. So the promise of simply planting it and watching mosquitoes flee is a lie. But here's the practical truth. If you plant scented geraniums along a garden path you walk regularly, or along the edge of a patio where you brush against them coming and going, you get a real and sustained release of those protective compounds. You can deliberately crush the leaves when you sit down outdoors, releasing a concentrated burst of oil that is genuinely effective to keep bugs away. Grow them in pots so you can move them exactly where you need them. Number 4 is lemon balm. Stop right there and do not skip past this one just because it sounds ordinary. This plant is one of the most criminally underused tools in the American garden, and I want to be perfectly straight with you about why. Lemon balm belongs to the mint family, and it produces a diverse range of aromatic oils. The primary mosquito-repelling compound in lemon balm is citronellol. Yes, the exact same chemical family that gives citronella grass its name. It occurs naturally in lemon balm at very high levels. It is high enough that lemon balm essential oil has been tested in deep scientific studies as a serious mosquito deterrent. Here is the secret nobody tells you. Crush a handful of fresh lemon balm leaves until they are bruised and leaking green juice. Do not just brush them gently, then rub the juicy pulp directly onto your ankles and the backs of your knees. Your ankles specifically are one of the primary mosquito feeding zones in a seated outdoor environment because the skin is thinner and you are far less likely to notice a bite down there. Rubbing crushed lemon balm on that specific area gives you a surprisingly effective barrier using a plant that costs about $3. Now here is the honest warning that comes with this plant. Lemon balm drops seeds aggressively. In rich soil with regular water, it will move beyond its original planting location very fast. Grow it in containers if you want absolute containment, or plant it in a bed bordered by solid concrete where its spread is physically limited. Snip off the flowers before they go to seed and you will slow it down. Number 5 is citronella grass. Now we arrive at the one that the entire mosquito repellent industry built its marketing foundation upon. And I want you to understand exactly what you are actually dealing with here. True citronella grass is a towering tropical grass native to southern Asia. This is not the scented geranium sold under the mosquito plant label at your local nursery. That is a completely different plant. True citronella grass is the actual botanical source of citronella oil, the exact same oil that ends up in the commercial candles, the torches, the plastic wristbands, and the chemical spray bottles. The mechanism here is straightforward and genuinely powerful. Citronella oil repels mosquitoes through 2 distinct biological pathways. It confuses their carbon dioxide sensors, making it intensely harder for them to locate warm-blooded hosts. And at higher concentrations, it acts as a direct neurological irritant that causes immediate avoidance behavior. The reason the candles and torches underperform is not because citronella oil does not work. It is because the dilution in those synthetic products is commercially optimized for corporate profit margins, and because burning the oil destroys its effectiveness rapidly and unevenly. A living and breathing citronella grass plant standing 4 feet tall releases those same powerful compounds continuously at normal temperatures. It provides a steadier exposure that does not depend on wind direction the way a smoking candle does. In terms of practical homesteading, citronella grass is a tropical plant. Everywhere outside of the deepest south in the United States, it must be grown as an annual or brought indoors in pots over the winter. Position it at the corners of your outdoor seating area and in locations where the natural evening breeze will carry the oils straight through your primary outdoor living space. The plant amplifies its own effectiveness when positioned in steady airflow. Number 6 is Bee Balm. This is the one on this list that most surprises people. And I want to explain it carefully because Bee Balm does something uniquely clever from a biological standpoint that absolutely no other plant on this list does. Most mosquito repellent plants work by producing chemicals that bugs find irritating or confusing. Bee Balm works completely differently. Its primary aromatic oils do not just repel mosquitoes. They literally mask the chemical signatures that mosquitoes use to detect human presence in the first place. Think about what that means practically in your backyard ecosystem. Mosquitoes find you through your exhaled breath and body heat. Bee balm oils do not just yell at the bugs to stay away, they tell the bugs there is absolutely nothing here worth finding. The signal that you are a food source is entirely hidden. Several brilliant entomological studies have documented this host masking effect specifically, and data from the Rodale Institute confirms it remains one of the more elegant natural defense mechanisms in the entire garden. There is an additional ecological benefit that I must mention because it is deeply relevant to any of you who are serious about healing your local habitat. Bee balm is one of the finest pollinator plants available to American gardeners. While it is actively deterring the biting insects you hate, it is simultaneously attracting hummingbirds, native bumblebees, and beautiful moths. You are building a vibrant garden that is inhospitable to pests, but deeply welcoming to the wildlife you desperately need. That is the true essence of permaculture design. Real quick, if you are still watching this video and you have not subscribed yet, I need you to understand how YouTube actually works right now. The platform does not automatically keep showing you content from channels you have enjoyed. It only consistently delivers videos from channels it recognizes you actively follow. If you are not subscribed to this channel, the algorithm will eventually stop putting these videos in your feed. You will lose access to this vital information. You will go back to blindly buying what the big box garden center tells you to buy, paying whatever ridiculous price the spray bottle costs you, and never knowing what was sitting right there in a simple transplant for $3. Hit subscribe. It is right down there. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it tells the platform to keep bringing you this truthful and grounded information every single week for free. Let us get back into the soil. Number 7 is floss flower. I want to handle this one with serious detail because this plant requires honest and specific information, not just cheerful catalog descriptions. Floss flower produces a compound called coumarin. It occurs naturally in this beautiful blue flower, and mosquitoes find it highly offensive. The chemical industry has long used synthetic versions of this exact compound in their industrial insect repellent formulations. Scientific research has investigated it extensively because it does not penetrate human skin the way DEET does and has a far safer profile for humans. Now here is what I want to be brutally straight with you about. Coumarin is toxic to animals if they eat it in large amounts. Dogs and cats process this compound very differently than humans do. Their liver enzymes make them vulnerable to toxicity at doses that would be completely harmless to a person. If you have grazing pets that chew on your garden plants or small children who put everything in their mouths, I am telling you plainly to skip this plant. Do not gamble on it. The repellent benefit simply does not outweigh the risk in a household with curious pets. But for gardeners without that specific concern, floss flower is a genuinely beautiful and remarkably effective plant. Plant them as a dense border in your outdoor living zone, and they will bloom continuously from early summer until the first frost. The mosquito repelling compound is present in its absolute highest concentration right inside the flowers. So a plant in full glorious bloom is your most effective deterrent. Number 8 is mint. Let me give you the raw biological reality of mint because almost nobody explains it with the level of scientific clarity that actually helps you use it correctly. Mint produces menthol through specialized tiny cells on the rough surface of its leaves. When these tiny cells are broken open by physical contact or crushing, they release the oil in a massive and concentrated burst. The smell is incredibly refreshing to us, but to insects, including mosquitoes, it is essentially total sensory overload. Here is the exact mechanism at the mosquito level. Menthol powerfully activates a cold sensing channel in the mosquito brain. When menthol triggers that specific channel, it creates a deeply confused signal in the insect. Their delicate chemical detection system goes into a state of complete sensory jamming. The immediate biological result is rapid avoidance. They simply do not want to be anywhere near it. Here is your practical application. Crush a handful of fresh mint leaves and rub them vigorously onto your exposed skin. Target your forearms, the back of your neck, and especially your ankles. The menthol will provide a wonderful cooling sensation and a real barrier for about 45 minutes before you need to reapply it. Now listen to me carefully. Do not plant mint directly in your garden beds without strict physical containment. I want to say that with absolute crystal clarity. Mint spreads aggressively underground, and it absolutely does not ask for your permission before claiming new territory. In healthy soil, mint will rapidly swallow your entire garden bed within 2 short growing seasons. Plant your mint in heavy containers, large pots, or buried plastic buckets. That physical barrier stops the creeping roots cold. Before we get to the final champion plant on this list, I want to give you a piece of practical permaculture knowledge that most gardening videos skip entirely. The single biggest mistake people make with natural mosquito repellent plants is treating them like passive air fresheners. You plant them, you walk past them, and you expect the mosquito population to magically disappear. The biological reality is vastly more nuanced. Almost every single plant on this list works best when it is physically disturbed. The precious volatile oil compounds that confuse and repel mosquitoes are stored safely inside the living tissues of the plant. They are only released in truly meaningful concentrations when the plant is touched, brushed, or vigorously rubbed. What does that mean for your garden layout? It means you want these plants strategically placed exactly where human movement creates regular and daily contact. Plant them along the narrow edges of walkways where you inevitably brush against them as you pass. Put them in low containers positioned right at seating height where you will naturally rest your hand or arm against the leaves. Tuck them at the tight corners of your patio where the path narrows. It also means that simply rubbing your bare hands on these living plants before sitting outdoors is a highly effective strategy. Take 30 seconds before you sit down on your porch in the fading evening light and thoroughly crush a few leaves of mint, lemon balm, and lavender between your palms. Rub your hands together warmly and run them along your arms. You have just given yourself a potent and compound topical application of natural bug spray. That is a real and scientifically validated repellent stack made completely from plants you grew yourself at no ongoing cost. There is one more core ecological principle I want to address before moving on. Planting a single species is good. Planting a diverse mixture of 2 or 3 species with completely different active compounds is significantly better. Mosquitoes can adapt partially to a single scent stimulus over time. When you intentionally plant lemon balm next to mint and plant that next to lavender in the exact same border, you are presenting their tiny brains with a deeply complex environment that is incredibly hard to parse and virtually impossible to adapt to. Design your outdoor repellent plantings as a rich tapestry. Diversity is always your greatest strategy in the natural world. Number 9 is thyme. Let me finish this journey with one of the most vastly underestimated garden plants in all of America. Thyme produces thymol as its massively dominant compound. Thymol is one of the primary active ingredients in Listerine mouthwash. It is also the primary ingredient in many natural antiseptic oils. I need you to hear this loud and clear. The chemical industry did not invent thymol. They discovered it, extracted it from the humble thyme plant, and standardized the mechanical extraction process. Mother Nature has been perfecting and producing it for millions of years. For mosquito repellents, thymol works incredibly similarly to menthol and mint. It is a powerful compound that completely overloads mosquito olfactory receptors and aggressively interferes with their ability to detect human chemical signatures. Data from various entomological studies has shown staggering repellent efficacy against the specific mosquito species responsible for transmitting dangerous diseases in tropical climates. That is absolutely not a trivial number. Here is the daily practical application of that phenomenal information. Crushing thyme leaves vigorously between your fingers and rubbing the rich oil directly onto your exposed skin creates a short duration but profoundly effective repellent barrier. The oil concentration on your warm skin is at its absolute peak in the first 20 minutes and then gradually decreases. Just reach down and reapply from fresh leaves as needed. For an outdoor dinner or a quiet evening on the porch, this is a fully viable and earth-friendly approach. From a homesteading and cultivation standpoint, thyme is one of the absolute best value perennial plants an American homeowner can possibly grow. It requires almost nothing from you once its roots grip the earth. It thrives in poor and rocky soil, demands full blasting sun, and needs minimal water once established. In fact, thyme is another incredible plant on this list that performs better under stress. Rich and heavy soil with generous daily watering will actually severely reduce its essential oil concentration. Grow it lean, grow it dry, grow it hot. You will produce a rugged plant with dramatically higher and vastly more potent thymol levels than one that has been endlessly fussed over in heavy potting soil. Varieties like creeping thyme can be seamlessly planted right between your warm stone pavers. Every single time someone steps on them, they release a massive and invisible burst of thymol directly underfoot, creating a genuine repellent effect from simple foot traffic alone. Let me bring this all together for you before you go today, because I want you to leave this video with a crystal clear picture of exactly what to do with the earth knowledge we covered. 9 living plants, 9 incredibly complex and naturally derived botanical defenses. Every single one of those powerful compounds has a cheap commercial equivalent that is currently being extracted, artificially synthesized, and sold right back to you in toxic spray cans and smoky candles at outrageous prices that assume you simply do not know where the original magic came from. Well, now you know exactly where it came from. And you can grow it yourself with your own 2 hands, right in your own yard, in simple containers on a sunny patio, or in a wild border along a quiet walkway for a tiny fraction of the ongoing cost of those synthetic commercial products. And you get to do it with compounding ecological benefits that grow richer and deeper every single season instead of requiring a plastic refill from a big box store. By planting these, you are not just fighting bugs, you are actively participating in the ancient and breathing web of life. You are healing the soil, feeding the native pollinators, and working in quiet harmony with Mother Nature instead of dropping chemical bombs on her. Every week, this channel puts out deep and honest content built entirely around one single and unwavering goal: helping real Americans grow real, productive, and deeply functional plants in real homes with limited space and a very real budget. No useless fluff, no fake sponsored recommendations, no shady affiliate links leading you back to toxic products you absolutely do not need. Just pure and grounded information that is specific enough to be immediately actionable and honest enough to be fully trusted. I want to build a real and living picture of where this wonderful community is gardening across America. So I want you to drop your exact state in the comments right now. Tell me what zone you are digging in and exactly which plant from this list you are going out to buy, divide, or lovingly propagate this very week. I read those comments personally. That geographical information directly shapes what ecological deep dives I cover for you in the beautiful weeks ahead. If you found real value in this video today, the single most useful thing you can do for yourself and for other passionate gardeners exactly like you is hit that subscribe button before you close this window. This knowledge is completely free. It is here for you every single week. and the gardeners who have been watching and growing alongside this channel since the very beginning are so far ahead of the curve in ways that are deeply paying off in their thriving yards and in their wallets right now. Go out and plant something beautiful this week. Get at least one of these living defenders into your soil or into a sunny container before the heavy mosquito season is fully upon you. Start with vigorous mint if you want something you can crush and use immediately. Start with hardy lavender if you want something that earns its keep in multiple magnificent ways. Start with bright marigolds if you want the absolute broadest zone coverage and the lowest possible financial cost. But please, just start. That is the ultimate advice. Not next month, not next spring. Dig your hands into the dirt today. Honor the earth, let the plants do their ancient work, and I will see you in the next one.